me shelter. Simple life is all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter. Yeah.
So welcome everyone to the We2 Liberians Movement platform, the platform that speaks to and for the masses. We say we are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we say we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. Tonight, we have a special project that's the, we call it the CAR Forum. This is a special project of the We2 Movement Podcast. Our title for tonight, or the episode title, is How Can Liberia Rise Again After 179 Years Among the Comity of Nations, the Illusion of Liberty. So joining us tonight, we have two special guests. We'll call our guest panelists. One, we have Mr. I'll call him Mr. Jeffery C. Wordorvlenger, and our next panelist here is Doctor, who doesn't want me to call him Doctor, but he's Dr. Bangala Sengbe, I call him. So I'll tell you a little bit about these two individuals. Mr. Jeffery C. Wordorvlenger Harmon is a distinguished public servant, technocrat, and scholar whose extensive background bridges international relations, technical engineering, public health, and civil leadership, bringing decades of multifaceted experience across both Liberia and the United States. Mr. Harmon serves as a guest panelist for the C. Ayiti Williams Forum, contributing vital insights in national sovereignty, governance, and institutional accountability. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about Dr. Sengbe. He brings a wealth of experience, perspective, and personal history to our discussion. Originally hailing from a small village in northwest Liberia, he has navigated a remarkable professional journey from a financial controller in the Ministry of Labor to holding senior roles in Liberia Maritime Authority, the Ministry of Finance, and the Governance Commission. Beyond his extensive background in public policy and public service, Dr. Sengbe is a licensed independent clinical social worker, an educator, and an author who intimately understands the human experience of migration and conflict. Having arrived in the U.S. as a survivor of war, he has dedicated much of his life to that aspect. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the platform for the very first time both of our panelists here. Welcome to the We2 Liberians Movement platform. So this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to introduce yourself. We'll start with Mr. Wordorvlenger and then followed by...
yes. Thank you so much, Mr. C. Ayiti Williams. I appreciate this forum. And I'm excited to be here. I mean, words are inadequate to express how much, you try to, promote our own, introduction. But I do appreciate your forum, and I'm here willing to work with you and to be able to discuss with this brother, Dr. Sengbe, who is one of the sons of Liberia, who has been in the vanguard for a protracted period. Looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harmon. We'll pivot to Mr. Sengbe, and he will, I guess, introduce himself.
Okay, thank you, Ayiti, and thank you, Brother Harmon. Let the world know that Brother Harmon is my senior tiger. And yeah, that, that's the most significant thing for me here. And the fact that I'm walking in his footsteps. Because, when you go on Booker Washington Institute, and it's the best school on earth, I did not ask for somebody to say they have research done. I'm just declaring that. I thank you, and I thank you Liberia for giving us a space to discuss these issues. How can Liberia rise again after 179 years? And we talk about some little issues regarding the drug cartel movement and the rest of it. But I appreciate what has happened, what we're doing. And this is something, Mr. Williams, that you cannot beat, man. Because if we don't talk Liberia, somebody will talk Liberia. If we don't write our story, somebody will write our story, and they might write it wrongly. So these conversations, though belated, are conversations that are very significant that we're having now. I say they're belated because somebody else told us some things before. Now that we know that they were all fashioned in lies, most of them were fashioned in lies and the rest of it, we have to deconstruct those lies so that we can reconstruct if we want to move Liberia forward. Again, thank you, Liberia. Thank you. I'm here. The most significant thing, besides Brother Harmon being my senior from Booker Washington Institute and from Key Electronics, is that I'm from obscure village called Kambalahu. And my father was the first person in my family who ever went to an organized academic institution. Again, thank you. And then we're here for the conversation.
Thank you very much to our both panelists. It's certainly an honor to have both of you, sharing time and space with us, bringing wealth of resources in terms of information. What we want tonight, we want this conversation to be a little bit more educative and transformative. So we ask that as far as the discussion, we can be very brief, succinct, but at the same time, we try to be as detailed as we can. So as we gather today, Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026, we stand exactly 4 days away from the July 26th, the day Liberia, the continent's oldest republic, officially marked 179 years of independence. 179 years. I mean, approximately 2 decades. But as the national machinery prepares for speech, parade, and celebration, the reality on the ground demands that we pause and ask the most uncomfortable question. Is our sovereignty a living reality for the million trapped in systemic neglect? Or has our freedom become a haunting, multi-generational illusion of liberty? So again, to our viewers, to dissect this political, structural, and social economic paradoxes holding our nation back, we are joined again by these two brilliant minds. So just before we open the floor, let us ground ourselves in the words of the revolutionary thinker, Amka, who reminded us, always bear in mind that the people do not fight for ideas and the things in anyone's head. They fight and they win material benefits. They live better and in peace to see their lives go forward to guarantee the future of their children. Gentlemen, welcome once more to the forum. Let's confront the truth and reclaim our narrative. So let's look at our first segment here, the illusion of liberty and the political economic trap. Mr. Harmon, I'm going to start with you. Let's go straight to the heart of the matter here. We are 4 days away from July 26th. The official banner are going up, but behind the fanfare lies the painful reality. The question I want to ask you, considering Liberia's past and present, as we prepare to commemorate 179 years, what is there actually to celebrate? And the next, question there would be, how do we evaluate a social contract where liberty has functioned as an exclusive privilege for a few while the masses remain in economic bondage? Those are two questions for you.
First of all, you talk about, I want to thank you so much for the question you asked. There are complex, compound questions you ask. You talk about the illusion of liberty. I would like to speak to that first of all. And if you look at Liberia, the name itself, as it is said, Liberia means what? Freedom, liberty. So is Liberia truly a free society? It's a free. Now it comes back to the issue of independence. You know, after 179 years old, are we truly really free or independent as our name suggests? Obviously, it brings to quite mind what you be talking about. You can look at it from different perspectives. You can look at it from a theoretical background, and you can look at it from a practical perspective. But I start from a theoretical perspective. Theoretically, Liberia was colonized by what? The ACS. But Liberia was not colonized by any nation state. ACA was a philanthropic organization that was looking for a way to repatriate free people of color. And then they decided to use Liberia as the catchment area to repatriate the slaves. And through that process, they were able to get other people from the high seas, the Barbados, where you heard about the Congo people. So Liberia was truly not colonized by another nation state like the United States or Great Britain or France. So it was a philanthropic organization. So along that line, you see a lot of errors that were created. Practically, you could say Liberia was colonized because economically they were dictated to by certain powers, and those that came in from the settler class, they were able to, have a rift between those that had met on the ground from the indigenous tribe. So, and if you look at the 1838 Constitution of Liberia, you find out that they call it the Gurley Constitution. There was a segregation based upon the pigmentation of the skin. And that brought a lot of confusion between the dark-skinned settlers and the light-skinned settlers. You know that the J.J. Robert class, they were the lighter skin, they were the mulattoes. And then if you look at man like E.J. Rudd, he was the dark-skinned settler class. So there was some kind of a imbroglio between the two classes of people, including the indigenous Liberians. Now, having said that, Liberia was not economically self-sufficient. So they had to rely on the colony to provide most of the things. And the Constitution from 1838 to 1847 did not include the indigenous Liberian on the land purchase and thing. Because in the 1847 Constitution, it states that any land bought from the indigenous shall be held null and void. So it means all along from 1847, even up to 1980 coup d'etat, the indigenous were still excluded. So that brings to mind that it was an illusion, and the truism of an independent nation is still to be debated.
Thank you very much. I still want to hold you there and take you back to, I think, the last phrase in the very first question that I asked you. What is, because as you will know, on Saturday and Sunday, maybe between Friday and Sunday, there will be massive celebration all over the country, all over the United States, in the diaspora, and maybe in Liberia. What is really there to celebrate, considering that the country has endured?
You want me to still continue, or Dr. Singma will?
Dr. Singma will come in, but I just want you to maybe in a sentence. That's the question I want to pose to.
Okay, because I don't want to jump ahead of the book, but if you look at Liberia right now, and you want to celebrate Liberia, I mean, I am so disappointed what is happening in our country now. In the first place, the rules are set up, the constitutions are put in place, but people, the elite, they do not follow the rules, only when it is in their favor. I know we all know that Liberia went to civil war, and the constitution states that nobody should bring war upon the country. If you do that, it is the act of treason. But yet and still, some of the key political figures that did it, and it went with impunity. Even when time came for them to implement the very laws that everybody agreed upon in the Ghana Accord and all this stuff, they did not implement it because they feel they were much more above the law. But having said that, we can only celebrate if the errors of the past, if we can rectify those errors of the past and we set the country onto a good footing. But as it is now, the errors of the past still haunting Liberia. So we can only celebrate because we're still alive. So I see nothing really to be celebrated upon except that Liberia is still surviving.
All right, thank you. Just before we pivot to the social, say, psychological dimension, Dr. Simba, I want you to maybe give us your perspective on the question of action. I'm not going to go back to the very first. I think you touched on both questions, but how do we evaluate the social contract with liberty as functioning as an exclusive privilege only for the few, while the masses remain in economic bondage?
I think, thank you again, Ayiti and Harmon. But I think that there's a point that is struck in this conversation. What is there to celebrate? How can you celebrate an illusion? The Republic of Liberia, this is personal to me because I call it home, but the whole experiment called the Republic of Liberia is an experiment that is equated to a nightmare. Lots of people will show up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever they're doing, whether they're going to the pavilion, whether they're going on the various football fields in this country, in Europe, in Australia, and other parts of the world, they will go to celebrate. But if you were to take the microphone across and ask them why they're celebrating, the only thing they will tell you is Liberia's Independence Day. Are we independent? We're not. That is why somebody would feel so proud to be called a Jewish name when he's not Jewish. Somebody would feel proud to be called an English name when he's not English. And people will even disrespect you when you have a traditional name. So where's the independence? By declaring independence, and Mr. Harmon said something that is very significant that we need to know. We are the first country on the continent who declare independence, but we declare independence from a social group, for a not-profit organization. I know when Presidents Monroe, and first it started with President Madison and then finalized with President Monroe, the United States presidents, when they decided for the Elizabeth when they decided for the African mosaic, and the Elizabeth was used as a ship to carry the first batch of people to Liberia, or to where is now Liberia, the intents were, okay, this country is now, the United States is now declared slave-free, but most of these people that we call today the biracial people or the mulattoes were sons of slave masters, were daughters of slave masters, who they had with their mates. And so they did not want, because the Caucasian race could not allow those biracial sons and daughters of their...
Dr. Simba, you got to adjust yourself. Your head is cut off, so you got to adjust the mic. Sorry. Yeah, come down a little bit. Yeah, you can see it right.
Yeah, he's good.
Right, you're good.
Okay, good. So these individuals had to find a place to be. And so their parents, if you may, took them or sent them to what is now Liberia. When the guys went to Liberia, they unfortunately did not forget what they had seen their slave masters do. Some of them who were kids of the very Caucasian slave masters. That's why if they brought somebody from Grand Bassa County like Mr. Harmon or me from Lofa County, they brought you in the home, and the first thing they did was that they made you not to speak the Bandi, the Madingo, the Basso, the Crown, the Kio, and other things. They made you to speak like them. That's the first thing they did. The second thing is that they changed your whole identity. So when you come to the realization of the 3% versus the 97%, 3% meaning those that came from here, I was intrigued to have heard Dr. Burroughs the other day talk about at the time we declared independence in 1847, Liberia was meant for approximately only 2,000 people. I mean, hey, if you're making a country only for 2,000 people, I see why the University of Liberia was built right in that small place. I see why you could not have Monrovia, the Cape of Masurado. Monrovia could not extend after Cinco. So just to start off this conversation, I want to tell the Liberians we have to check ourselves out. What are we celebrating? We're celebrating nothing. It's just a time for us to go out. Some of us who can drink, get drunk. Some of us who have the way of dancing, dance, but we know nothing. Because absolutely we are not going to present anything that will be fruitful and rewarding as a nation state, except the leaders come up with something that is good for all of us to talk about. But Harmon, you struck a point on the issues of we understanding our constitution, we understanding our people without using those things. And that's why this particular platform must take its basis in to just discuss the issues of the historicity of the Republic of Liberia. Because if we don't know where we come from, surely going where we want to go will be a very difficult thing.
Right.
Wow, that's very profound, Mr. Singer, because Marcus Garvey said something very profound, and a lot of your responses, when you had an opportunity, I think it really stressed on identity, who we are, origin. He said that people without knowledge of the past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without root. And we're talking about independence. I'm just moderating, but I think I must throw this in there. If we're talking about, the first thing is the independence of the mind. And when you started out, Mr. Harmon, you also you talk about Liberia's, her foundation, how the country was established, and you too also you buttress that. So I mean, just hearing from both of you, I think it says it all that the very first thing that we need to address is, our identity, where we come from, in order to know exactly where we're going. With that, I want to keep you, right here, Mr. Singh, with the social, psychological dimension. So when a people spend generation under the weight of severe deprivation, watching their natural resources extracted to enrich foreign cartels and local elites, while their basic human dignity is denied, what does this, do to the collective psyche? How does this systemic neglect manifest in trauma, hopelessness, and civic apathy? Just speaking from your background.
It's let me put let me speak the Liberian or the Liberian English straight to our people. It is this so despicable that you will see people celebrating somebody for stealing. The joke I have is that when Jimmy Ringo jumped from Duca, and he jumped down from Duca down towards Rocktown, or maybe where we call now West Point and the rest of it. We went after him and said he was a rogue. But when somebody from finance ministry steals our money, we say that person is embezzling. That's a common thief. When we start to call things by their names for what people do, it makes people to run away from them. A rogue is a rogue. We call some rogues in Liberia BM boys, right? Not in Liberia alone, but on the coast, on the coast of West Africa during the heat of the war, people who were stealing and croaking people of their money, they say, oh, they're black money people. They're rogues. We have to identify people who do wrong, and we have to, as a nation state, as a people, tell ourselves first that we will not celebrate anybody who hurts our psychology, who hurts our physicality, who hurts our potential economic growth and development. But what has happened over time, Ayiti and Harmon, is that because we've suffered too long, it's entered into our psychology that the only thing we can do is to celebrate those who have been the sources of the burden of suffering. One of the points you raised here, our Constitution, whether it was the 1847 Constitution or the 1981 Constitution or the 1981, 86 Constitution, or whatever it is, we have always said that thievery, murder, those are all reasons why people should be shamed. People should be brought to disrepute and disgrace and the rest of it. When we kill between 8 to 10% of the population, or those people who were responsible for the killing of the 8 to 10% of our population, what did we do? We celebrated them. We gave them the highest offices in the republic. We made them members of the Council of State. We made one or two of them president of the republic. We made them senators. We made them all kinds of things. How can you stop an individual from doing wrong by rewarding them instead of you punishing them or prosecuting them? But that's just in our psychology. That's just people have remained so burdened that they think that when somebody who has kept them so burdened, the best thing you can do is to reward them with power, reward them with authority. Power, and the power they're giving them is authority, and those individuals now will be emboldened to do whatever they want to do. I was flabbergasted when I watched the news, for instance, I think a couple of hours ago. If somebody is charged with treason, not with treason, with thievery and the rest of it, and the person is put into prison, do we go to celebrate that person after the person is released, whether temporarily or permanently? That person should be ashamed to go back into their community. And it's not because they are a part of previous administration or they are a part, they are against the current structure and the rest of it. Anybody who steals the Liberian people money is a common thief, and he is against, or she is against, the people of Liberia and the movement that we want to make Liberia go.
That, I want to interject something real quick, you know what I mean? And I would like you to also, throw light on it, because, there's a African proverb that states that it takes a village to raise a child. And if the village is crazy, the village produces crazy children. With that said, the point you made, about we celebrating people who they will call Liberian, we say the rogue. Well, somebody would say they embezzle. One is a rogue, the other is embezzling. We're using these different nomenclatures. So what now with your background, what's really is responsible? And I think you highlighted a whole lot, because see the quality of people that we have in the offices, in high places. For example, our representatives, even those who are now serving as Speaker of the House, Deputy Speaker of the House. I can say, I say it to the T, and I can defend it. And it's because of that the children the quality of education that we're giving our children, the quality of just the roles that we're building, the quality of life, our people, being diminished. How do we, as a people, just with your background, how do we, go in there to kind of help make a difference? What strategy do you think we can employ to actually fix or rewrite this narrative?
I think the first thing we need to do is to deconstruct the thinking of our people so that we can reconstruct it. All of us here, and most of the people who are listening to us by television, by radio, or through any social media that they're using, who are a little older, we did not go to school to become ministers. We did not go to school to be representatives. We went to school to be enlightened. That's the first thing. I've been a college professor, whether in Liberia or in the States here, being a college lecturer and professor and faculty. It's funny to hear that, this person went to school, got a master's degree, just to come and be a director. Harmon, when you want to be there, did you go to be there to graduate to become? You went to school to know your profession, but did you go to school and graduate so that you could become a director or something? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
And Ayiti, yourself, you want to become an engineer. You did not go to school to be the director for road construction in Rhode Island or in New England, the rest of it. You just want to be a quality engineer. One thing we have to do as a country, and that's the deconstruction part of our thinking. We should not go to school because we want to be controller. When I went to the University of Liberia in the mid-'80s and graduated, I just wanted to be a good accountant. Thanks to my fortune and to the God of my creation, I ended up becoming controller at the Ministry of Labor. That is where you grow to become. But you didn't go to school just to become the controller. So deconstructing our mindset and reconstructing it, that's all that we need to do in the first place. When we do that, then it makes it easier to start to formulate things that will work for ourselves. For instance, somebody walks in, maybe they graduated from Duke or graduated from Harvard or graduated from Widener or from UPenn, since we're in Pennsylvania here, from what's the school here, from Westchester University and the rest of it. and the person comes in the office, they got their master's degree, and somebody who, according to the TOR, is director for, say, procurement, and this person got a master's in engineering or procurement or whatever you call it. The person comes in the place because he has a master or she has a master. They think that they should bring down the person who has been doing the job for 10, 15, 20 years because a master's degree holder is there. That is despicable. We have to stop all of those shenanigans if we want to move the country forward. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, especially when positions are advertised, you know, I was reading the other day, let me just digress a little bit. I was reading the other day first, just me, I'm retired now, so I'm just doing consultancy and the rest of it. I will just do consultancies. So I'm reading some international organization positions and their TORs. I see that they said, international organizations, they say a bachelor's degree or higher. What made somebody think, and there are 4, 5, 6, 7 different things written over there. What made somebody think because you got a PhD or you got a master's degree or you got a education specialist degree or you are a Psych D or whatever it is, even if you're in the area, what made you think because you have the terminal degree now, it means that you have met all the requirements? That's just one of the requirements that have to be met. That's just one, the academic side of it. But so to deconstruct the minds of our people that academic education is good, we appreciate it. And me being a teacher, I wish that everybody could know book. But that's not it all. There are certain positions that I can't work in public space, for instance, and I start wearing a $250 US dollar pair of socks. Then I'm somewhere walking around and talking about it. Oh man, you know, the pair of socks I'm wearing is $250. I can't do that. People need to understand how to manage positions, how to manage the expectation of the people that we service. But because we do not have any prism through which to look at these issues, and we have made our people to think that the best way to be a leader is just to make them, to be an autocrat. We make the bulk of the people to just stand in line and celebrate falsehood and celebrate tyranny and celebrate things that are not right. And the conversation now should be about, if I'm in this position, what am I doing to lift up the other guy who does not have the ability, whether he's from Lofa, Nimba, Grand Jude, River G, Maryland, and the rest of it. Instead of just talking about, oh, I can go to America anytime. Who told you only your house should have a bathroom?
Wow. That's a big statement. That's a big statement, Mr. Simmer, and I appreciate it because I think you're just speaking. That's in fact the core of the We2 Liberians movement. We are talking about inclusivity. We're talking about revolutionizing thought. Cultivating purpose, and so as to empower the next generation. So I think you said a lot. It was power packed, but I want us, for the sake of time, we'll pivot here, and so we can talk to Mr. Harmon here, who coming with his background in political science. So I want us to really address this issue on the next segment here. Corruption. I know we just talked about it, but the corrupt syndicates, the poorer borders, and institutional decay. So the question here that I want to ask Mr. Harmon, these multi-million-dollar narcotics pipelines do not operate in a vacuum. What does this illicit drug trade expose about the vulnerability of our borders, logistics, infrastructure, and the political oversight?
Oh yeah, thank you so much for the question. Although I had some other comments to make to Dr. Sengwe, he was stressing on some important issues, germane to our society, because he did mention about corruption. Because if you corrupt a society, you are putting a lot of people in abject poverty. You see people enriching themselves, the only concern about filling up their tummies, so that the larger society continue to go into abject poverty. People who should be serving at the highest echelon of society, they take the people's money and they don't even have time to reflect on what damages they are causing. So I think all of these things, it come to bear with what we're talking about, the illicit drugs and things going on, because there is no accountability. People continue to go with impunity, and the government is not functioning properly. Because first of all, we went to we fought civil war for protracted period. And in 2005, there was the TRC Act that was created so that we cannot go back to the things that we went to that brought the war. And what did they say in our TRC Act? They were talking about the geographical balance of the military. And the government that comes to be must implement the TRC Accord. If the government could not have implemented the accord, they should make known the legislature to hold them responsible for implementing that accord, if there's any portion they could not implement. But none of those things were implemented at all. Now, we having a government that has not implemented anything that led to the civil war or holding people accountable for anything. So you want to do it right now? You think it's going to work? Accountability starts from the rule of law. If we all carve out a document that no matter who you are, you must abide by this document. From 2005, the TRC Act, and Judy Byron came in and said the government that would be. Then the Unity Party government ruled for 12 years. They did not implement the TRC Accord. They did not. And after the 60 or 90 days, the legislature should have held them accountable. What happened? The legislature were all bribed. They bribed this individual because they do not have the guts to stand up to say, look, I'm standing for my country. So what do we have? Zombie legislatures. They were bribed and did not implement the accord to hold people accountable. Prince Johnson sat in our place for 20 some more years. He didn't even until the time the death came in. Others were there. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I don't want to call him, but we have to call the chief executive. She should have implemented that. But the legislators themselves should have held her accountable, but they didn't do that. And current President Joseph Biden was the vice president. And some of the things I do respect the things he's doing to bring about changes in Liberia right now. There are a lot of good things. But why did he consult this lady and say, look, we have an accord that we should have implemented? Why he didn't do that? Although he said in his campaign he was going to implement the TRC report. But that is yet to be seen. Molu, who bouncing around here today, say, oh yeah, this and that, he's demonstrating. What face he has to go tell the Liberian people? When he was the very person on campuses carrying casket all up and down that they were going to implement TRC report. When he got in power here in the CDC, George Weah, what did they do? So Liberia needs to reinvent the government. The CDC, the Unity Party, not really helping the Liberian people. Since Samuel Doe put in 6 years term in our constitution, it still remains there. Nobody want to go back to 12-year term. The legislature going for how many years? Like or senator 9 years. Who does that? These guys have empowered themselves. They entrenched into power. They are all rich people. I don't want to talk about Mele Edwin Stowe, who came from under the umbrella of Charles Taylor. These guys are rich. They're just sitting there on state resources while our country continue to plunge into national disaster. Look what's happening. I would say Liberia right now is being colonized by Guinea. Believe me or not, in a neighboring country, Liberia is colonized right now. We can't even enumerate our own citizens. So anybody can come from any country. Look at the Burkina Faso or in Grand Gile. They can't say the woman. Who are these people? We are not providing. We don't know our citizens. And the TRC Act allow for what? A geographical balance of the army when you talk about a sovereign nation state. What is the definition of a sovereign nation state? It's a group of people with a territory and a government and an outstanding army to protect the geographical territoriality of that place. But is Liberia being protected? Guinea on our soil. I don't know how many thousand square miles, some 43,000 or 45, whatsoever square miles we have, it's decreased. Liberians now, they depend on food from Guinea. They don't even produce your own rice, our stable food. You understand? So we need to reinvent government. Now people who store money and come and say they won't be president, we need to have a debate to the public square. If Mr. Comity, I asked Mr. Comity, what fire he got in your belly? He said he won't be president. Mr. Joe, what fire he got? The other day, the finance minister came here, I they call him 12 when he was on a judge where we try to grill this guy who I tell you, he used to talk all the good, sweet things. He can't, nobody even want give you a chance to ask the man question. People in America, they're scared. They want money when they bribe and they shut their mouths up. So look, how many bucks you get? Every man get one buck, you can sit down in one car and drive it. The rest of it, give it to other people to enjoy themselves. But one man won't own about 50 cars, fleet of cars, build big houses, get the girlfriends all over. And then the country continue to go in actual poverty. So we need to reinvent the government. And the government has said to Mr. Baka, if he means well for Liberia, and I'm appealing to him, Mr. Joseph Baka, look for leadership. It can be any Liberian son, abroad or not. Put the low resources in us finding leadership. We have to brainstorm. If Joe, I want to be president, okay, come on, Joe, let's have a debate on the issue. Yeah, the social, political, and the drug issue that are going on. We know it on the job. We are telling you, we saw all the auditors being killed. We didn't close the thing. On the Ellen Johnson said a lot of people got killed. You see? So we need to put this thing into perspective. And then another thing again that we have done wrong, and I'll put the human rights lawyer Tiawon Gonglo under the bus. On international law, they got something they call Pata Son Savannah. Treaties are binding.
So we're going to, Mr. Harmon,
Yeah.
I know we'll get to that. You know, we're running out of time. It's 8:49. I know we allotted 45 minutes for this interview. I know just before we conclude, definitely, I think you'll have an opportunity to stress on that because you said a whole lot. What I want you to kind of highlight here is definitely, I think you're talking about it already, the drug issue, which is this multi-million-dollar narcotic, I would say, pipeline. That's, I mean, it's so pervasive, evasive. We see exactly what's going on in the country. The real question I want to ask in this simply, I mean, is the whole situation where we see that the drug issue in Liberia is not unique to Buckeye's government. When I say it's a UP problem, it's not a CDC problem. It may not be an Ellen Johnson Sally. The upside that we have now, we're living in the information technology of time. So who knows? Maybe some of these things were happening in the past, but the fact that we're not, open to social media and things of that nature, so we didn't get to see that. The real question I want to ask here, and I hope you can break it down real quick. What does this particular illicit drug trade expose about the vulnerability of our border that you just talked about? Again, I want to see the logistic infrastructure and the political oversight.
Okay, yes. The drug issue talking about expose a lot of things. But the point I was trying to revert the underlying problem, because you can't just look at the periphery. You know, like, bro, we have a brain drain in a society. Gregory Coma alone cannot do the job over there. We had a brain drain. We killed over 12 people then, 1980. All of our people who had knowledge on a lot of things. Then the look, okay, I'm not a fan of Charles Taylor because some of the things he did. But look, that's why I was quoting Patterson Savannah. You taking Charles Taylor to the hybrid code of Sierra Leone without ratifying a document in the Liberian National Legislature. So that alone, it creates a space. You know, he is a citizen of Liberia who should be able to hold him accountable for what wrong he did in Liberia. So if you want to send him over there, create the national legislative arm that will ratify the treaty for the hybrid code of Sierra Leone so that we can hold him accountable in that code. But that wasn't done. So you can abrogate the law. Now the drug system going on. We don't have the expertise. And the money that Liberia has to look into those things, it goes into individual pockets. You see, you don't have a national army, you don't have a balanced military. All the legislature pays, I don't know how much they paid in $30,000 plus. Do money right now, Liberia is in a state of emergency. Our border has been invaded. So I think people should declare a state of emergency and try to decrease some of the legislature pay to handle some of the things that we need to handle. And so I believe that if we can sequester funding for these programs and look for expertise, put drone in the air to look at our borders area, we will be able to, monitor. We may not have a military over there, but we can put camera in our area and know what's coming in. Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was brilliant. Again, we're running out of time. For those of you who just joining us, our topic for tonight is how can Liberia rise again after 179 years among the Comity of nation states, the illusion of liberty. Doctor, I think we'll pivot to you because we're running out of time. We want to ask you this question. And this question is really, I think it's poignant. It falls right on our last segment, re-imaging the future and pathways to a renaissance, Liberia renaissance, because we're talking about the new Liberia. You talk about deconstructing and reconstructing. Unfortunately, the country was established on a very poor foundation. And so in order for us to fix it, it means that we have to go down, reconfigure that foundation. That is to deconstruct and reconstruct. So the question to you here, Mr. Singbe, if we are to re-image our nation, we must reimagine how we nurture our youth. How do we move from empty political rhetoric around empowerment and build genuine structural pipelines for youth-led innovation, mental wellness, and community leadership? What would be your response to that?
Quick, we just have to continue the education of our people. I mean, it's disheartening and disappointing to see our kids who graduate elementary, junior high, senior high school, and even colleges, when they have to make a statement, they are singing their statement. It is disheartening, it is sickening, it is hurtful. My name is Bamwala Semwe. I'm from Lofa County. That's not a statement, that's singing. We need to start from there. Teach our children that they don't have to be like other people for them to be great people. You know, Liberia and Liberians are one people who, when they leave the country and they go to Guinea, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, and other things, they live like the people in their host countries. And they are the same people when those people come in their country, and they're in their country, they live like the strangers. Liberians don't have any identity. We have to teach them to become who they are. When we got, and I have interacted with lots of people, professionals and laymen in this country, and in other parts of Africa, for instance. When you see a Nigerian speak, he speaks his Nigerian English, a Nigerian parlance, and the rest of it. If he's speaking English, he's heavily accented. By the time we get to JFK, the day we get to JFK and we fly into this country, we change our whole tone. We want to speak series. What is the Liberian next day? Where? When a Liberian man is educated and he cannot speak series if he went to school in America, or he can't speak British if he went to school in the United Kingdom, they say, oh man, the man is too country. What's our identity? Again, the first thing is that our names are challenged. We have identity problem with our names. Then we have identity problem too with our own accent. And we have identity problem with the clothes we wear. And the rest of it, things have to change. If we don't have any kind, like for clothing, we don't have any kind of identity in the clothes we wear from Liberia, and we do have anyways. Let's at least start wearing clothes from the near diaspora, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Guinea, and the rest of it. We have to start to teach our children that they are good people. Finally, before I rest out of this conversation, when in 1991, I visited Ghana during the heat of the war, where we call Circle Down in Accra.
So wait, now that's somebody off the camera again.
No, he's
I'm here.
okay.
Oh,
He's
you there?
okay. Yeah, he's okay.
I'm here.
Okay. All right, good. I can see you now. Yeah.
Okay, when I went to Ghana in 1991, where we call Circle Down was still existing, but it was muddy.
Okay.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That notwithstanding, before 1991, when we had people then that were teaching us on Boko Washington Institute, I think like Nana Opoku then taught you Sion Tiger before we came after you guys, and other things, Ghanaians and other people, they praise Ghana.
Vakis taught me, Vakis.
Okay, Vakis, okay, Tampa Vakis, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So those people talk about where they came from. Their countries were not wonderfully so great. From 91 to 96 to 2006, when I went back to Accra in 2000, the last time I was there was 2016. Look, transformed so much because the young people were told that Ghana was the best country on earth. We have to enter into the psychology of our people. We have to talk to them. We have to educate them. We have to make Liberia the best country in the psychology of Liberians.
Right.
Let Liberians start saying that country.
Wow.
Let Liberia start saying this, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. When you go to Liberia, okay, you go to Liberia in December, it's winter time here. Especially you live from Minnesota or you come from the Northeast in Pennsylvania or better stay in New England and other things. It's hard, yes, when you go there. But stop putting towers on your shoulders. If you're too hard, don't get in the street. Stay home. Somebody get big tower on your shoulder, got somebody carrying a water in your hand. That is the same thing we talk about the mentality of slavery. Somebody must hold your water because you can give them $10, $15, $20. You don't think you need to give your brothers and sisters that $10, $15, $20 without them, becoming like slaves behind you? Those things got to be told and got to be taught, whether the kids are in this country or back home. But I'm concentrating more on the back home people.
Okay.
So that's why when I said the psychology of our people have to be reoriented to the extent that we who live from here, we have to stop being the new slave masters. And everything Brother Harmon was talking, he's right. If we become the new slave masters, so when we go to Liberia and they give us a job, we would treat people as if to say they are slaves.
Right.
So a guy is making $6,000-7,000, maybe as the head of an entity, but his the two number three men under him is making. If he makes $6,000, number three man under him is making not even $2,000. That's baloney. That's BS. That's just not right. And again, I go back to the statement that people cannot be doing wrong and expect a positive result. That's insanity according to psychology. Doing the same thing and expect different result. We've been doing this thing. Our country has not moved forward. We have to stop it. And again, finally, we are 4 days away from celebrating 179. But I think we are 4 days away from beginning the talk that will lead to the deconstruction of our mentality so that we can reconstruct it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think quickly, there was wealth of information there where, put out here today, and we have to be really, really grateful for such powerful, I would just call them, I would definitely call them messages from both our panelists. But just before we give our closing remark, I have one more last question because, on our show, we have a topic titled Reimaging the Educational System of Liberia, Bridging Cultural Tradition and Global Competence. And I think this morning, Mr. Harmon and I, we had a conversation and he threw a light on it where he thinks that our educational system should be customized to fit our domain. We should speak our dialect in our school. We should, go back to, who we are, our identity, our culture, our tradition. But the truth here is, we know that we've been stripped of our names, our culture, our tradition, even our languages. So the fact that we're not living our truth, we're living someone else's, we're pretending and masquerading. I don't know. So those are things that I really do appreciate that you brought to the forefront tonight. With that said, I will run right back to, I would just say to both of you so that we can close here. And the question will go to Mr. Harmon first, and then be followed by you for your closing remark. In the question or your response, you can just give your closing remark. Hopefully, we have some time here. We can ask if we have someone from the audience who has a question, something that maybe they can call in. I would just quickly post the number. They can ask questions, and hopefully you guys can respond. So the question that I have here now: how do we achieve true sovereignty? Because the truth here is we're not free. And the first sovereignty I'm talking about would be full sovereignty. So our independence is no longer compromised, because that's exactly what it is. You're hungry, the country has everything that we need to, on the very serious note. So that the full sovereignty, so our independence is no longer compromised at the dining table of international donors. That will be the first one. The second one is, what is the single non-negotiable step that both citizens and leaders must take starting today to liberate our people from bondage? Mr. Harmon, a question goes to you.
Oh yeah, how do we? First of all, you talk about education just before you came to the sovereignty. Yes, I don't see any reason why we cannot have free education for all kids, all young kids, 15 and below.
But I don't want to cut you off. What I want you to really stress on is the reimaging the education, because the doctor just talk about us, the identity crisis that we have. So throw a light on that, and then maybe hopefully you can kind of add that, as you conclude. So let's talk about like re-imaging an educational system that that sovereignty now. We're talking about being free, because if we take people went to Harvard University, you got people who went to London School or whatever, business and law, they're still not educated because they just took somebody, maybe somebody theses or somebody knowledge and ideology. We're running with it. And so when we get where we are, we still causing problems. So please a light on that, how we can re-image.
The education process, we can start from free education. Like we got 16 major tribes in Liberia. And among those tribes, you got the Pele, that's one of the most popular tribes. You got the Bassa. We got tribes that are popular. We should begin to learn one language to teach it in our school. And we can't be having our little young kids going in the market. You see 10-year-old, 7-year-old children in the market all day. No, it shouldn't be like that. All the kids during school hours must be in school. Nobody should go to the market to do those things. But it reminds me that the government need to allocate funding, paying all our senators, representatives, and all these people to use some of money. It's not going to help our education. We need to sequester funding by taking money away from all these so-called bishops who want to just get money because everybody won't go in the House of Representatives or they won't go in the Senate just to get money. We got to take money away from there and try to educate the youth. The late Tower said the youth are our precious jewels. If you can't educate young kids, you got no future. You see, and we should also learn how to diversify our economy, because we got a lot of things. Like we got Liberia, we got a fishing industry over there that we're supposed to tap in. If you look at during the 80s, you see the Maserado group of companies. We should ship shrimp and food abroad to China and all those places. None of those things happening. We're not diversifying our economy. We just on the extractive industry. So in order for us to have education for our people, we have to begin to diversify our economy to put it into meaningful areas. And another thing here is that when we have rubber, for instance, most of our, like you go to Firestone, the rubber that the people grow all over that place, but we can't even produce a single rubber cup. You see, those things got to change. So that part of economic diversification will slow down the extractive industry and put the money into other areas. And we look at agriculture, our stable food production, our stable food rice. Nobody has farming in Liberia that can produce 2,000-3,000 bags of rice a month time. Nobody got it. But yet and still, we've been having people who've been in power for years. They talk about agriculture. But we still rely on Pusawa rice. We rely on rice from Thailand, all those things. So if we begin to pump money into those things, educate our people into how to do agriculture, mass production, I think it will be a very good area that we are going into. Now you talk about sovereignty. If you don't have sovereignty of your belly, you have to rely on Guinea to get bitter ball. What sovereignty you going to have? You have to be able to produce yourself, and you got to make the tools available. So currently, Liberia is a pseudo-sovereign state. We're not even controlling our geographical territoriality. And the president has not announced any state of emergency. He's not talking anything to the Liberian people that, look, we have been invaded. He's talking about diplomacy. Diplomacy does not solve sovereignty issue. You have under international law to tell you that there's no permanent friendship. A permanent interest. They make it come and look for an interest, and you will just discuss with you. But he's not going to be friendly once his interest is at stake. That's it. Liberian interest is now at stake. Then that manner road, you're not going to solve that problem. We have to tell the Guinea man, look, and at the same time, we should be having deterrence. We're not going to fight war, but we should be having deterrence, training our kids. That look, my man, you got to try to clear all the border area. Let's move forward. But You can't continue to do this. We haven't been at war with each other. We are all regional partners. But if you come into our territory, you are disrespecting us. We should be very blunt about it. No begging anybody about anything. People in Guinea, the kind of Liberia will give them welcome. People from Ghana, Nigeria, all over the regional, the sub-region are colonized Liberia. They come the same day they can work. We don't go in Ghana, Guinea, or any other country the same day and work. No. They will discriminate against you. But yet and still, we allow those things. So we should begin first to enumerate our citizens and begin to work backward. So that will bring about true sovereignty.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was a closing remark, right? That would be a closing remark, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. That you have any closing remark? You know.
There are three things I would like to talk briefly about. Quick. One is reimaging our educational system. The other one is full sovereignty. And the last, which is the most significant of them, all of these things are significant, but the most significant of them is non-negotiable pathway to our own liberty. To re-image our educational system, and I piggyback on what Mr. Harmon was saying, the country or the government, the leadership must declare that whole thing of the 1970s, vacancy. If a child is of school going age, that child should be in school. Thanks to Madam Selly's administration, we put a law down that every kid from kindergarten to 9th grade are going to school free, or should have gone to school free. Let's implement that law. Look, Ayiti and Harmon, I was working with the late Dr. Sawyer, a governance commission, and Omen Gonga, the former Minister of Education, and we did a research. Liberia is one of few countries that the older generation is smarter than the new one, the younger one. It's one of very few countries. Other countries and jurisdictions, the generation after the previous generation is smarter than their previous generation. Liberia is just one of few countries that are doing that. So we have to go back. I know Brother Harmon today because he was my senior on BIDA, or he graduated from BIDA before I came there. And then I worked with him as a junior technician at Key Electronics. So as soon as he myself met today, the first thing that came up was BIDA Key Electronics.
Yeah, that's true.
How many young people can ever think of those things? Can I talk about those things? We need to reinvent that. That is the beginning of reimagining our educational system. And when I talk about the educational system, oh man, when you graduated BIDA, then you were a man. You knew how to articulate yourself. You knew how to say things without using profanity and the rest of it. If you ask, even in this country, if you ask Liberian kids 4, 5, 6 different times, why, they end up using profanity because they have not been trained and educated to understand the intricacies of critical thinking. So we have to do that. The second thing is full sovereignty. The issue of the full sovereignty thing comes about because I just want to think about what happened in Ghana. In 1981, Ghanaians were standing in line for sugar in Accra and the big cities. When Lieutenant Rawlings came to power the second time in 1981, and because he was a Marxist-Leninist, a lot of the West decided not to do business with his government. You know what he did? He made sure that the engineering battalion of the armed forces of Ghana built feeder roads. They started bringing the cocoyam to the biggest markets and the rest of it. That line that was that was being queued, whether in Ashanti region or in Accra or in Takrade and the rest of it, those lines just dissipated. When you have people start making potato and other things, and cassava and the rest of it, people desire for standing in line for sugar, for all of these coffee and cocoa and other things. I mean, and we just dissipate because they know cassava is there for them to eat. That food sovereignty we should concentrate on that. Why we should concentrate on food sovereignty and make it a big business thing? We say Lofa County is, for instance, the breadbasket of Liberia. Is Lofa County really the breadbasket? When everything we need, people in Lofa County can go to Guinea to bring pepper from Guinea to bring it to Lofa to sell it. Let's encourage people to go back to the days of the SCADPs, the BCADPs, and the rest of it. Finally, what is a non-negotiable pathway to liberty? We are 5.3, 5.4 million people in our country now. When Liberia was founded before, I'm told that only 88 to 90 settlers went back home. And they started building that number, and that number has gone out to 5.4 million people. When they talk about King Sauboso, what was the name the settlers call him? Long John or something, right? So there were people who were met on the ground. Let's treat them as citizens and live with them. Make them citizens. That's a pathway. Look, if, for instance, if we don't see ourselves as citizens here, we will not function as citizens here. We will always have the mindset that we have to go back home. Stop calling Madingos that they are foreigners. The Madingos were in Liberia before the settlers went to the country in 1820.
It's a big
They were in what is called Liberia now before the settlers went in. In Bopolu, King Sauboso, that was later on named Boswan because they wanted to change everybody's name, was a very powerful chief in Bopolu. Where is Bopolu? And he was Madingo. Where is Bopolu today? It's Lower Lofanagba, Polo County. So once we do those things diligently and work toward achieving those things, first, our Liberians will be identified or will be elevated and will become very, very significant. Second, we now know that there is a land that is almost the size of Tennessee or Ohio that belongs to us on the west coast of Africa. And we will now go to work there and live there. If those things are not done, and if Akwamala Semwe, who is an indigenous, feels that he cannot be respected whenever he takes power, and we've been in power because we're 97% of the population, he thinks that it's a time for him to pay his debt. And we should stop paying debt and appreciate and accept everybody in Liberia. Though we are diversified, we are all Liberians. And because we're all Liberians, we are of the same banana tree with many branches. Again, thank you. This is an opportunity to talk to Liberia and Liberians about what we need to do to make Liberia a better place for all of us. Thank you.
Wow, this was a big time conversation, very resourceful, very educative and transformative. And I think I would say this is one of the best we've ever had. There's a takeaway from this conversation. I think we're going with some kind of revolutionary thought. There were a lot of statements made here from the conversation. Someone asking questions, Liberia make a statement like Liberia never deliberately, I think, I don't know what they were trying to say, deliberated itself or liberated itself. I guess that's what he was trying to say from the Americas. Therefore, Liberia is not a sovereign nation. That's someone said that. Thomas said, let me see the other guy, Prince Square. Wow. So Liberia declared independence from a nonprofit organization? I did not know that history until now. Ed said, a lot of you are now going to run with this narrative, but never had the balls to speak about it. Liberia issues is worse than South Africa. Mark my word, that was one. But then you have the Honorable Ministry G. Dopu. I guess he's a compatriot to you guys. He said, following the discussion, the two guests are men of great consequence. Had the pleasure of being a classmate with Jeffery, the great Harmon, in the Department of Political Science and Government at the University of Liberia. Dr. Singbe is an astute scholar and public intellectual. Eddie Dixon said, we need to understand ourselves. Bobby Daniel said, well said. Mental displacement, Aloysius Heenan said, I guess he was saying, I'm in agreement with you. My challenge, how can we start to plant those trees' roots? So I mean, I think people were very engaged. It was very, very, again, I'll say it not to sound redundant, very, just power-packed. And with that, we would like to bring our podcast or this, dialogue to a close. We extend our immense gratitude to our panelists, Mr. Jeffery C. Wonglaga, Harmon, if I'm wrong, please tell me, and Mr. W. Bangla Singbe for bringing uncompromising truth, political rigor, and social clarity to the C or the C. Ayiti Williams Forum. As we stand 4 days away from July 26th, let us remember that real independence is not measured by official declarations, parades, or political speeches. It is measured by the quality of life, the dignity, and the security and the freedom of our average citizen. Until our educational system are re-imaged, our borders secured, our resources domesticated, and our people fed, our liberty remains an illusion. Let us close with the immortal words of Marcus Garvey. Up you mighty nation, or up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. Thank you for tuning in to the C. Ayiti Williams Forum on this We2 Liberians Movement Podcast. Please share the episode, keep the conversation going, and let us stand firm. Take care, stay conscious, and stay powerful. Peace. Have a good night. God bless you. And I look forward to talking to you guys again. This is a never-ending task. I appreciate it. Great show. Great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Simple life. It's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter.